Today we're going to talk about the dumb supper. So what is this? How do we do this? And why are we talking about this now? So the dumb supper is a really great celebration that you can do on Halloween on October 31st. And as we are sliding into October, into fall, one of my favorite types of year, I thought it would be really great to give you something that you could do to celebrate during this time. Now, this is a silent dinner that we have, the dumb supper, that is done in order to pay tribute or honor our loved ones who have passed on to the other side. We do this on October 31st because this is the day when the veil between the world of the living and the world of the dead is the thinnest, right? So it makes for easiest access, easiest contact. So that's why we do it then. Now, the really great thing I like about the dumb supper is that you can do it by yourself or you can do it with other people, and you don't have to be magical or intuitive or psychic in order to be able to do this. And I think that's the most important special thing. So what we want to do is we want to really connect with the people who have meant a lot to us in life, who have blessed our lives or graced our presence in so many ways, and we've lost them and we miss them very much. And we just want to say a thank you. We just want to connect with them one more time. So that's what this supper is about. Now we want to talk about a couple different pieces because it has a lot of moving parts here. So we want to talk about how we do the setup. We want to talk about what we're going to be eating. We're going to want to talk about host or hostess duties. We're going to want to talk about the supper itself, what happens, what goes on, and we're going to want to talk about kind of what happens afterwards. So the first thing about the dumb supper is that there's no talking. Just none. And this will probably be hard for some people. But it is silent so that we can really take the time to reflect and be mindful and really connect with those who have passed that we've invited to join us for dinner. Now the table setup or the room setup is going to be like this. So there's no artificial light, right? So no light switches. Anything that goes on with the light switch or power, we're not using. So we want to do it by candlelight. So I would suggest doing enough candles that you can actually see your food, right? The table setting is going to be pretty much everything's going to be black. So tablecloth, napkins, plates, cups, silverware, if you can swing it. And if this seems like it's going to be expensive or too much, do the best you can. But, the dollar store is a really great place to get things for cheap. The only exception to the black color on the table is going to be at the head of the table, right? And that's where we're going to invite spirit to join us for dinner. So that place sitting is going to be white, as well as the chair should be draped in a white cloth, towel, blanket, something to symbolize that this is spirit's place at the table. If you have a round table, don't freak out. Just pick a place that's going to be the head, and that's going to be it. The hostess or host for this event will be sitting directly across from spirit's place, right? And then everyone else you can fill in between. Every person who is invited, living or dead, gets a place setting. And it is great to put place cards out for this so you don't accidentally, invite your departed Aunt Sue and, your best friend sits on her lap by accident, right? Like, we want to make sure everyone feels welcome and has their own space. So that's the setup. The other thing that's going to be different too for the deceased is that we are going to place a black votive candle in front of or kind of by their place setting, right? To symbolize their presence here in the physical plane, because we may or may not be able to see that depending what your intuitive abilities are. Spirit also gets a white votive candle, and this is at their place setting as well. So also too, for place settings, I think the other thing I should mention is because once you come in for dinner, you're going to be sitting down. If you're a guest, you're not going to be moving. So make sure you place things on the table that people might need, whether it's hot sauce, salt or pepper, butter, maybe a little extra water if something gets, they choke or something gets spicy or they just get really thirsty, right? So make it really convenient for your guests. Now, the next thing we want to do is, who do we invite? Well, you can invite whoever you're feeling most impressed to call on from the other side, right? Maybe if there's somebody particularly that you're missing. And you can invite any living people, friends, family members, whoever that seem open to this type of activity that might be needing to kind of have that connection with someone who's passed. Maybe they're just having a really hard time, and maybe this might be a good way for them to kind of help process some of the things they're going through. So just invite whoever you feel intuitively called to join you for dinner. Once everyone has arrived, it's the hostess or host job to kind of set up the space inside of the room. And what you want to do is you want to light the candles and turn off all the lights, right? Then we want to call in spirit to join us, and then individually each deceased person, we're going to go to their place setting and call them in to join us for dinner. It's very simple. It looks a little something like this. You can just walk behind spirit's chair. You can put your hands on it if you want and say, Spirit, I'm inviting you to have dinner with us would really love if you would grace us with your presence. We have this dinner. We're going to connect with our lost loved ones. If anyone's having a hard time, coming through, please help get them here so that we can all enjoy a nice dinner together, right? It doesn't have to be fancy or complicated. And then once as you're inviting them in too, you can light their candle in front of that place as you're inviting them in, right? Just to symbolize that we have this place for you. You can do the next one like, hey, Aunt Sue, we made this really great dinner for you. We're inviting you to come eat with us. We would really love if you would share a meal with us. We miss you so much. It can just be super simple. And once all of your departed loved ones have been invited and you feel like their energy is in those spaces, then you let the living people into the room. And they either will sit down in their place, or they may walk over to any of the loved ones that have been invited, and they may leave a little note under their plate, right? Just a little tribute note to say hello, maybe a special message that they want to give to that person, and then they will walk down and sit in their place. The next thing that happens is that the host or hostess will serve everyone their food. They serve spirit first, then they served the departed, right? The ones who've passed on. They serve all those plates first, and then they serve the living guests from an order of oldest to youngest, right? Then before you eat, a lot of people kind of like to do a little general prayer of thanks. Because this is a dumb supper, it might be a good idea to hold hands, right? So if the host or hostess holds up their hands, everyone knows at that point, because you've done all the rules and regulations before you walk into the room, that everyone holds hands and you can silently pray to yourself for a minute. And you can thank Spirit for coming, thank your loved ones for coming, thank your friends and family for showing up, for the food that you're going to eat, for everyone's health and well-being, and for any messages that you might be receiving for dinner. And then once you're done, the host or hostess will kind of squeeze everyone's hands, and then that's everyone's sign to let go, and then you can eat. So the next question is, okay, well, what do we do? Do we just like wolf down the food? Like what happens? So the purpose really of the supper is to connect, right, with your loved ones. So something really great to do is you want to be eating mindfully, right? Especially if you're eating a dish that is particular to your relative or friend that has passed, right? You may be invoking a lot of memories, or maybe just might be experiencing a lot of emotions. Really kind of see what you're feeling and picking up, because since you can't speak, you have to rely on your other senses to try to tell you things. So that might be one thing, just to kind of see if you feel anything strange happening, and just make a mental note, because you can discuss those things after dinner. Another thing too, some people like to do is you might want to kind of just reach out in your mind silently and say hello to the people that are at the table who have passed on. Maybe you just want to say hi, maybe you want to share a conversation or some information, or, and see if they talk back, see if you can hear their voice, see if you can hear them talking back to you, right? It's really whatever feels most comfortable to you, whatever feels like you should intuitively be doing that's what you should be doing. Just as long as you stay silent, that's the important part, right? So how do you know when it's over? If everyone's quiet, how do you know? So when everyone looks like they're done eating, right? The host or the hostess, hopefully during this time, is keeping everyone's glass full, everyone's plates full, they have everything they need. And when they notice that everyone's pretty much done, they will stand up, right? And they will exit the room. That is everyone else's cue, the invited guests, to get up and exit the room as well, right? From that point on, the supper is over. But once dinner is over, you can turn the lights on and pick up all the plates and just clean up everything. For disposal's sake, what I would say is the candles, you want to gather the votive candles. You're going to want to snuff those out with a snuffer, and gather those from the deceased place settings and from spirit's place settings, and dispose of those off of your property. The other candles aren't so much a big deal, because they weren't lit specifically for an individual. They were just lit to light the room. So I wouldn't worry too much about those. And then you can just dispose of the food as the uneaten food as well. As you are cleaning up, because the ceremony is over, you are now free to talk and discuss the evening's events. So if there is anything, an experience that you wanted to share, or maybe you got some information to share with somebody else, now is a good time to kind of talk about everything. And if you so choose, you can also do divination after this, because your loved ones may still be there. They may also be wanting to connect. And also too, because the veil is thin, this is a really great time to connect with anyone on the other side, and also to connect with spirit too. So if you want to flip any tarot cards, if you want to do any channeling, if you want to do anything, after dinner is a really great time to do that. So I think I covered everything. I know there's a lot of moving pieces with this, but I think this is a really powerful ritual or ceremony or celebration that you can do to just really connect, especially too if you don't have like an ancestor altar that you regularly connect with. It's a really good time to just honor people who have meant a lot to you, people that you miss and people that were really special. I think that's not just important for like our ancestors, but for people we come across who have just added so much value and so much love and kindness to our lives. So if you have any questions, please let me know. But until next time, thank you for watching and have an absolutely beautiful day.